And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barajas versus Forsyth. Step forward.
18-year-old Michaela Barajas is suing her boyfriend's mother, Marini Forsyth, for an unpaid loan to pay her rent.
Miss Barajas, what school do you go to?
I'm currently not enrolled.
What school were you going to?
The Arts Institute.
What is that?
It's a school for arts, like I was doing film production.
From when to when?
June 2015 to about July. Only like
for a month?
A month, yeah.
Did you apply for government loans and things for school?
No, I'm Native American, so I'm exempt from a lot of that.
Where did you get the money from to loan the defendant money for rent?
From the tribe.
I don't understand that. Explain that to me.
So I have residual checks that come in once or twice every 4 months.
For how much?
$2,800.
That you get every month as part of what?
Just for being a part of the tribe.
So how much do you get annually?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. It started when I was 18. I just turned 18 in March.
When did you get your last check?
June.
For $2,800?
No.
How much?
$50,000.
$50,000?
That one is only to be touched when you're 18.
Did you blow it already? You went through the whole $50,000?
Yeah, I bought a car and been paying rent.
What kind of a car did you buy?
Fiat.
How much did you pay for it?
$1,600.
What'd you do?
$16,000, sorry.
What'd you do with the rest of the money?
I don't know. Spend it.
Are you living with him now?
Yes.
And this is his mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Plaintiff moved into your house. You were behind in your rent.
Yes.
She gave you money. How much did she give you?
$3,000.
When did she give you the $3,000?
July 6th.
When did you move out of the house?
September 24th.
Who did you move out with?
By myself.
Who did you leave home?
My son, Tyler, my other son, and my daughter. And my ex-husband, who I asked to move back in to help take care of the rent.
Who pays the rent there?
Currently me and her ex-husband.
How much do you contribute?
It just started a month ago, I would say, so I paid the full month of $1,300 in utilities, an extra like $500, but next month he's supposed to take over the full $1,300 and I'm just utilities.
Don't count on it. What does the boyfriend do? What does the boyfriend do?
He currently just got hired at Best Buy.
So he did nothing? Nice. So far, you're not making great choices.
Right.
Don't have any children just yet.
No.
It's my best advice to you. This is not a mess you want to be involved with.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
I was riding, there were parked cars, there was traffic as well, lost control of my bike, and I woke up to a passerby. I was bleeding profusely and that the ambulance was on its way.
Michaela Barajas says her boyfriend's mother, Marini Forsyth, owes for a loan to pay rent.
Okay, now, tell me about the $3,000.
She had been stressed and talking about being behind 2 months on rent. For a while, they were about to be evicted. They were getting constant notices of 3 days. So felt bad. I told her, I will loan it to you. I have the money and I'm okay to take care of myself for right now. It's not a problem. Just pay me back whenever you can.
Okay, and she said okay.
Yes.
Can you pay her back?
No.
She can't pay you back. That's not a contract. Pay me back whenever you can.
I mean, she's given me like a couple bucks here and there. I have it documented.
Oh, well, that's good. That's fine. Then she's doing what she said she would do.
Right.
But you don't have an enforceable contract.
No.
If a contract with you is open-ended, I'll pay you back when there is a next full eclipse of the moon. And there is never a full eclipse of the moon again. That means you never get paid.
Right.
You left it up to her in your open-ended contract by saying, I have the money right now, pay me back when you're able.
Right.
That's not a contract. I wish it were a contract, actually. I think it's absolutely wrong to take advantage of somebody like you who is inexperienced with finances, who's 18 years old and inexperienced and gets this whole lump sum of money and didn't blow the whole thing on a car.
Right.
But now you bought yourself a whole bunch of aberration. You have her ex-husband, the boyfriend who doesn't work, her other 2 children, do they work?
No.
No. I really wish I could help you, but this is still a court because from an emotional perspective, you're sympathetic. But from a legal perspective, you don't have a contract with her. You can have a verbal contract,
right,
but your contract with her wasn't a verbal contract because it said you pay me back when you can. Now, if she won the lottery and she had $10 million, I say, you know what, you say you can't, I say you can. She doesn't think she can pay you back the $3,000 now.
She also lived in my house for 2 months rent-free, too, so.
How much was your rent?
$1,300.
Well, but she gave you $3,000.
Yeah.
So, and you, how many people? You, the ex-husband, and your 3 children, right?
Well, yeah.
So 1/6 of $1,300 doesn't amount to $3,000.
Correct.
Right, good. I'm sorry. I wish I could help her, because I think that you're not a nice lady. This case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I loaned her the money. She said she was going to pay me back, and she didn't.
She stayed in my house for 2 months and didn't pay any rents, and
I believe I paid out my rent.
so I feel like I don't owe her anything.
I feel like I was just trying to help, and it went out of control.
She threw me out in the middle of the night.
And we took over her bedroom because we were paying for it.
And I ended up looking like the bad guy because she offered to help me.
But we deserved it.
And now the
Seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Anderson, the defendant was a tenant of yours in a home that you own.
Correct.
When did you purchase this rental home?
April, I believe, 11th or 12th, 2014. And she moved in May 1st, 2014.
What was the rent that Ms. Dupnik was paying for the house?
$1,650.
How large is the house?
1,200 square feet.
And was she living there alone or with someone else?
She moved in with her, at the time, her 7-month-old daughter and a Labrador Retriever, her dog.
This is what you're asking for. It is your claim that the defendant signed a lease. I assume she has a lease that you're going to show me.
Yes, ma'am.
And the lease permitted her to live there. And she paid her rent, herself, her child, and her dog.
Correct.
And she moved out.
Yes.
And she moved out after a year.
2 years and 2 months.
And according to you, she left the property in disastrous condition because, according to you, you have evidence that she was running a business in the house, and that business involved taking care of animals in the house. And there was damage that reaches almost $3,000 you want her to pay for. Did she give you security deposit?
She did.
How much?
$1,595 for the property and an additional $300 pet deposit.
Did you return any of that money to her?
I did not.
So you have $1,895 that you had to use for repairs?
Correct.
And since I do not have a counterclaim, Ms. Dupnik, I assume you recognize that there was damage caused in the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me, Mr. Anderson, were you aware that Ms. Dupnik was running a business in the house?
Not until I began doing some research after she had moved out based on the damages. So at the time she was living there, no.
Did you know any of the neighbors?
I did not.
Did you ever receive any complaints from any of the neighbors with regard to dogs?
I did not.
Now tell me what kind of business you were running in the house.
I have a dog walking business, and so most of the business I do doesn't come out of the house. I go to people's property to walk their dogs and do pet sitting.
Okay, but is there a time when you do bring the animals home to your house?
There was a time that I did have foster dogs there, so I wasn't...
How many?
There's probably 4 over the time that I lived there.
At the same time?
No, not at the same time.
When?
It was spread out in between 2.5 years, so...
So you took in foster dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
You never took any of the dogs that you walked?
They never were there for any longer than like a day. I didn't board them at the house.
I didn't ask you whether you boarded them, but sometimes would you take them to your house?
I did several times, but they never stayed over the night.
I didn't ask you whether they stayed over the night, but they were there.
Yes, ma'am.
And was part of your service ever that you were a dog sitter for the day so that people could either drop their dogs off at the house and they would stay with you for the day and then their owner would pick them up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's different from a dog walker, Ms. Dupnik. That's a kindergarten for dogs. Now, how many of those clients did you have?
Only a very small amount. There was just 2.
So you had 3 dogs in the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Now I'm going to take a look at your lease.
Okay.
Which I'd like to see, and how it limits the pet.
And if I could point you to page 3, there's a line in the lease that says there are additional pets are charged at $150 per pet with $50 for each additional day.
Who's Dupnik?
My father.
So he guaranteed the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'd like to see the photographs of the property.
Would you like before and after? Or just...
Yes, I would like before and after.
These are the after. That stack is the before photos. And, Your Honor, I also have advertisements from her Facebook page with photos of the dogs in the backyard, as well as an advertisement for boarding in the home that I'd like to send
take a look at it.
So it is, it's going to be that page.
That's really a lovely, clean house.
Thank you.
Did you paint the walls?
We did. Before she moved in, we repainted all the...
These are the before photographs. He didn't own the house much before you rented it, so I assume that you agree that this is what the house looked like before. Would you tell me what these pictures are?
That's the garage with quite a bit of debris and trash left in. So part of my claim is
just cleanup.
Just
I just
cleanup.
didn't understand what it was. Okay, and a broken door.
Broken door, yes, ma'am.
The cabinet came off the hinge. It was from wear and tear over 2.5 years of being there. If I had someone to help me put a hinge back, I would have done it. I just don't know how to do that myself.
You should ask your father.
He doesn't live in Austin.
What's this?
Just holes in the walls that were never repainted. They were patched but never painted. So I had to pay to have the walls repainted in the house again.
This is another picture just of the garage?
No, that's the carpet in the bedroom. One of those bedrooms was her daughter's bedroom.
Didn't you own a vacuum cleaner?
That carpet was very bad quality, and it would snag up every single time I vacuumed.
So you didn't vacuum?
I did, but it made it very difficult. And I paid for a cleaner to come and clean the house. So I have this receipt from the maids that were supposed to come over and do a deep clean, and
Well, I don't know when they came over, but this wasn't a deep cleaning.
Well, that's why I was kind of confused, because I did pay, and I do have, like, the receipt for that.
Did you go over to the house after you paid for the deep cleaning?
I did not, because my lease was already up at that time. And I do
And
have
this is
evidence.
just trash pickup, sir?
Yeah, broken screens from the windows and trash pickup.
There's only one screen here.
Yeah, it's mostly trash removal that I had to pay for.
Okay, so let me see the trash removal. So far, you have almost $1,900 of her money. So trash removal, getting somebody there for $250 to clean up would be a lot. They could do it in one day. I'm not seeing the rest, sir.
I'd like to provide a list or invoice from the handyman service that did all the repairs to the home. So there was quite a bit more damage than just carpet and paint and trash removal.
Well, your main items here are painting and carpeting. Replace all carpeting and install new pads. Those are the two big items. And that comes to $2,900 plus $233 to haul off the stuff. $233.
Ma'am, if I...
$3,158.
Correct.
And you have $1,895 is $1,263.
That's correct. The additional fees come from the prorated rent when she was not out of the home.
I have
on the first.
I have receipts from the new home that I moved into, and I paid a prorated rent to move in early there. And I have the email where I paid early to move out of that house.
When did you re-rent the premises?
I have an application for rent currently. It took lost rent from over a month of having to do these repairs, and additional fees are for smoking violations, lost garage door openers, which are all part of the petition as well that was initially filed.
Did you return the garage openers?
I had one, and I did not return it.
Why?
It got lost.
Okay, so you were hoping for the garage door opener. How much is that in the lease?
I believe it's $150.
You can take the lease back and find the paragraph.
I also have, can I call my witness, please?
I'm just asking you certain questions. You didn't return the garage door opener because it got lost.
Yes.
And you're required to return it.
The carpet hadn't been changed since 2006 when he bought the house, and we got in touch with the selling agent because he is a real estate agent, and so they told us the last time it had been changed was 2006.
That's okay. But it didn't look like that when you moved in there.
No, ma'am.
It didn't look like that.
It did not.
Because I have the pictures. And when you have dogs running around and pet stains, that's what it looked like because the house was in pristine condition when you moved in. Even though the carpeting may not have been changed. Ordinarily, I wouldn't give him any money to change carpeting if it hadn't been changed in 10 years. But you made a mess of it. And it's more than just a little wear and tear. You know, you ran a business there. You ran a business. A messy business. Nice business lets you stay home with your daughter, but still a business. So far you owe him $1,313. What else, Mr. Anderson?
The other things that I'm looking for...
Don't look for anything that's going to annoy me. So far you're batting 1,000.
I'm batting 1,000. Well, thank you, ma'am.
So far you're batting 1,000.
Well, again, it was prorated rent. It was the damages that are on the inventory release form. There's also a supplemental invoice behind that. And some of the things that I'm not even looking for are just, lost rent, the travel time, the
It's not happening.
No.
It's not happening. In another country, not this country. Okay. Now, 1313. Anything else you want to say to me, Ms. Dubnik?
I don't know if you have the lease inventory sheet from when I moved in. I'm not sure if that's anything you want to look at. But there were holes in the walls when I moved in. Not big holes or anything, but there was already some stuff that wasn't completed whenever I moved into the house.
I saw the pictures of the house.
Okay.
You acknowledge that that's what the house looked like. He didn't have it that long before he rented it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you?
My name is James Barrett. I was the real estate agent who brokered the deal. I advised my client to fill...
Just a second. I didn't ask you a question yet. Who brokered the deal when she first moved into the house? Just answer my question.
Yes.
And so you had seen the house when she came. And did you know her before?
I did.
For how long?
For, how old are you?
26.
26 years.
I'm not interested. Sit. Unless you have other pictures to show me. Unless you have other pictures, listen to me carefully. Unless you have other pictures to show me which suggest that the house was not in the condition that Mr. Anderson says it was when your friend moved in, and not in the condition of the pictures that he showed me when she moved out, I'm not interested in anything.
I do not have photos of the slab.
Great. We're done. 1313.
Excuse me, miss, I do have the list of the additional.
13. We're done.
Thank you.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
For one dog, a woman and her child, to cause that much damage.
I did have a couple dogs over for daycare.
It was a lot. So when I found out she was running a doggy daycare business out of there and a boarding business,
but not to an extreme extent.
It kind of all came together for me.
Just to follow the rules and yeah.
But obviously you can't trust anybody to take care of a home the way that you would.
And you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Thorpe, you own a building, and in that building there is a beauty salon.
Yes, ma'am.
And you rented that beauty salon to Miss Rice.
That's correct.
Is your claim in this lawsuit that when she moved out of the salon, she moved out owing you rent, and in addition, she took some furniture that belonged to you, some chairs.
Salon furniture.
Salon furniture. I'm not exactly sure what her defense is with regard to the rent. But with regard to the furniture, it is Miss Rice's position that you told her that it was old furniture and that if she refurbished it, if she wanted to keep it, she could. She did, in fact, have the chairs reupholstered and cleaned them all up, and she took them with her when she left. That's your defense. Okay, when did you move in, Miss Rice?
I signed the lease in August.
Of what year?
2015.
And what was your rent monthly?
It started out at $525. And that's because we broke the security deposit up via 7 months. And then after the 7 months, then the rent dropped to $450.
How long did you stay there?
About a year.
When did you move out?
August.
Of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many months' rent did you pay?
I don't owe him anything.
No, that's not what I asked you. That's why we're here. So don't cop an attitude.
I don't have an attitude with you.
Don't cop an attitude. I asked you a question. I said, how many months' rent did you pay him?
I paid him, I think, all his rent.
I don't know what you think, because we'll go through each month. You signed the lease in August. Was the lease supposed to start in September? Or August? Or October? When was it supposed to start?
I believe it started in August.
Can I see the lease?
Yes, ma'am. I have the lease right here. I also have a schedule of the payments that she made to me as well.
Started September 1st. I'm going to show this to you, Ms. Rice, because this is what Mr. Thorpe says that you paid him and the months that you paid him.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this starts in August 28th, 2015. He says on August 28th, 2015, you paid him $525.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any deposits for October, November. You do have one in December for $525. So you didn't pay those 2 months. Do you have any proof that you paid those 2 months?
No, but when we signed the lease in August, the 28th, that was just early for September.
I got it.
And then, according to text messages, I did give him the rent for October because Mr. John is one of them type of people. He keep you informed
all the way through. Just show me that you gave him rent in October.
I don't have a receipt.
Show me the text message.
He should have had a deposit on the 9th of October. It says the money was deposited into your account. Thanks.
Just a second. That's your message to him.
Yes, I told.
Where's his message to you? Because he's asking for his money on the 9th. You say to him, I deposited the money.
Yes.
Where does he say, oh, fine, I got it?
He never responds like that.
What you have to do, madam, the fact that you say I deposited the money, even though it was 9 days late, I deposited the money in your bank. Show me an acknowledgement or show me something from your bank. I don't need a receipt. You have a bank.
No, I didn't have a bank account at that time.
How did you deposit the money in his bank?
Because I had his account number.
And then you get a receipt.
And then I got a receipt.
A second. Then
then in the process of mismanagement, I lost the receipt.
No,
I always send a text message to him to let him know when I deposited the money.
I don't care. I mean, the off text message, because he's asking you where my rent is, and you say, I dropped it in the mail.
No, I didn't.
And then I lost my receipt. Okay, October, November, you don't have. December, he says you paid $525. The next time he got a partial payment of $200, January 20th. Then he got another partial payment of $75 on February 1st. However, on February 5th, he got $800.
Yes.
So on February 5th, and then on February 24th, he got another $400. So I'm going to take October off because she paid twice in February, right? But she didn't pay in January, the full January. So she owes $325 for January, $525 for November. And then she didn't pay anything in March, but on April 8th, she paid $475. So nothing in March. You have any proof that you paid in March? No. By March, was your rent $450 or was it still?
Because I paid in March.
No, you didn't pay in March. You didn't pay in March.
Like right here.
Well, show me where he acknowledges that you paid in March. The fact that you say you paid in March, checks in the mail, doesn't mean he got it. Just tell me.
It wasn't in the mail. Like, I paid him $400 on the 24th of February. That was March payment. That was for March. I paid him up.
No,
I paid him ahead of time because it was income tax time. Because John is one of them type.
Listen to me.
I don't owe him anything.
You owed him money from January.
I don't owe him money from January.
Yeah, you did.
I don't, because the $800 in February covered January and February. That's where
March?
It came from.
Just a second. You just told me.
And then the other payment, the $400, covered March. That's how the payment got back down to $475, $450, and $25 for the late fee, according to his own text messages.
Just a second.
I don't got time for this get-rich-quick scheme he got going on.
Your Honor, may I speak?
Not necessary. She got it down pat. She owes you $2,200 in rent. Now let's talk about the furniture. Who put in that furniture in the salon?
We own that furniture.
That's not
we
what
placed it there.
Just a second. Who put in the furniture in the salon? I'm going to ask you a string of questions. Who purchased the furniture and put it in the salon?
Her mother.
Who's her?
My wife, my lovely wife.
Now, was she in the beauty supply business?
Can I? My wife or?
No, her mother.
No.
Well, you want to tell me how it came about that her mother put furniture in a beauty parlor?
She owned it. She rented it to tenants, and that was a part of...
Whose building is it?
It's ours now.
Did her mother pass away?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's make it much easier. You inherited...
Yes, ma'am.
...this furniture, so you did not purchase it. You inherited it.
Yes, ma'am.
When you inherited the building.
Yes, ma'am.
So you did not purchase it. That's the answer. You didn't. You did not purchase it. And you are not in the beauty parlor business. Just answer my question. You're not in the beauty parlor business.
No, I'm not, ma'am.
And neither is your wife.
Correct.
How long ago did you inherit the building?
If I'm staying correct, it was 2009, 2008.
When did you inherit the building?
2009.
And your mother was in that business?
My mother was a seamstress.
Okay. She owned the building. She put the furniture in there so that she could rent the place as a salon.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Stand up, because you have the facts and he doesn't. He's going to make it up as they go along. When did she outfit that store as a salon? In what year?
The year for that furniture was 2002. She has owned that building since...
I just want to know,
okay.
2002.
Okay.
Now we have a jumping off spot.
Okay.
So this furniture that you want me to award you money for, that you never purchased, was purchased sometime on or before 2002, correct?
That's correct.
And for this furniture, you want $1,350 for 3 salon chairs, estimated value $750. 2 shampoo chairs, $300. 1 dryer with a hood, $300. And 1 large mirror. So that you're not getting. But you're getting the $2,200 in rent.
But that was the cost to replace.
I got a
Just a
receipt
second.
for the rent.
I don't care.
I understand.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The only payments I did not pay this man was June, July, and August.
Just a second. In the beginning, you said, I don't owe him any rent. Now you say, well, I do owe him June, July, and August.
According to his own text
according to you.
messages.
And later today,
What clothing items do you allege that she took from you?
Boots, blue jeans.
Did you take his boots and blue jeans?
I might have took a few items from him, but I put them in a bag and I gave them back to him.
What else? I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you. This is nonsense.
Salon owner John Thorpe says stylist LaTanya Rice owes for rent and stolen property.
Okay, what?
I have a receipt for April rent. And like I said, according to his own text messages, I paid him up. He says it in here. The only 3 months he never received was June, July, and August.
Just to show me.
He says it's been 3 months now and no rent.
Just a minute. It's been... Oh, that doesn't mean you only own for June, July, and August.
But it says...
Just a second. I want to see what it says, because if what it says, I haven't heard from you with anything with regard to rent.
Oh, and you can...
What he's saying to you in these series of text messages, I haven't heard anything from you about rent.
You didn't give me a chance.
No. I didn't give you a chance.
No,
I said just show me receipts.
That's all I have. That is it.
April 8th.
But even he give you a printout of his supposedly payments.
He's got this payment here. It's listed here. April 8th, $475. It's listed here as a payment he received from you.
Yeah, but he should be able to... You know what? Like I said, I paid him. The only payments I did not pay this man was June, July, and August.
Just a second.
That's it.
Hey, just a second. So, in the beginning, when you started out with me, you said, I don't owe him any rent. Now you say, well, I do owe him June, July, and August.
According to his own text messages.
No, according to you.
I'm going by the text messages.
$2,200, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He got this get-rich-quick scheme going on both of y'all two petty selves.
I really believe that my husband should have put her out a long time ago.
I'm done.
I will listen to my wife more.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Marshall versus Statham. Step forward.
Camille Marshall is suing her former friend, Sean Statham, for the cost of her car after catching fire on his property.
Miss Marshall, you had a car and you had a car accident. And that was in May
3rd.
You had the car towed to the defendant's lot.
Correct.
Where you left it because you had no money to fix it.
Correct.
In July, so 2 months later, the car got burned in your lot.
Yes, ma'am.
At that time, you hadn't paid the defendant anything.
That is correct.
So you want him to pay you $5,000.
That is correct.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Okay, well, listen, I'm sorry. Initially, when the accident occurred, I explained to him I only had liability insurance. With only having liability, that means I would have to pay for the repairs. I no longer work. I'm disabled. I get a check once a month. So I told him it would take me some time to get the money together.
You're not getting $5,000. It's not happening.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice?
Cross it out. It's not happening.
Okay, I don't understand why it won't happen. It burnt on his property due to his...
You should have taken the car off in 2 months.
Okay, but we had an understanding that I had to get the money together to repair.
Show me a contract. First of all, I don't believe either one of you. Show me a contract that you had with him.
I did not have a contract for the repairs.
Correct.
But I don't understand why you don't believe me. I have pictures of the burned car. I have the police report. Where
A, because I don't know how it got burned. B, I don't think that it's reasonable for you to leave your car on somebody's lot for 2.5 months without paying them any money while you're getting your money together. I don't think that that's reasonable behavior, so you're not getting any money.
Okay, well, if you look at the pictures, at the evidence that I have, you see where he was burning his rubbish, where my car was in location to his rubbish container.
Did you tell her to get the car off to your lot? That's what you say in your answer. You told her that she should come and get her car. That's what you wrote in your answer. Is that true?
Right.
Good. Case is dismissed. We're done.
Are you serious?
We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Meet in the middle and
I took my car there to be repaired.
come together and put a plan together, you know.
It was burned.
At the end of the day, don't want no hard feelings with no one, so
I have no idea.
regardless of whatever we need to do to try to get understanding.
Get everything in writing.
But the thing about it, we family friends, so at the end of the day, we'll make it happen.
be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Anthony, this is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was your daughter's friend?
Yes, ma'am.
Does your daughter live with you?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time she lived with you?
About a year ago.
Who do you live with now?
My grandmother.
How old are you?
21.
Why do you live with your grandmother?
I had my own apartment after I moved out of my mom's house. And then I got pregnant and had my son, and I went back to my grandmother's house.
Got it. This is what the case is about. You gave your daughter your paycheck to cash.
No, it goes direct deposit. So me and her has an account together. So when I cannot get off work in time, I send her.
Send her to what?
To our credit union.
And what was she supposed to do at your credit union?
Just pick up my amount of my money.
In cash or
in
check?
Cash. In cash.
How much?
$6.89.
And how often had your daughter been picking up your cash for you?
For about 5 years.
Never had any difficulty?
Never had a problem, Your Honor.
And how long has your daughter been a friend of Miss Carter's?
Since 2006, 2007, my sophomore year.
Long time?
Yes.
Miss Carter ever stolen anything from you, Miss Anthony?
Not that I'm...
No.
Sorry.
Miss Carter ever stole anything from you?
Not that I'm aware of.
So for 5 years, your daughter has been picking up your money and getting it to you without incident.
Yes.
For at least 8 years, both you and your daughter know Miss Carter, who neither of you have had any difficulty with or any suspicions about theft. Now, on what date did your daughter pick up the $6.89?
December 21st, 2012.
And you never got your money?
Never.
And you don't know who took your money?
No.
So let's go step by step. Did you see her take your money?
No, I did not, ma'am.
Did she ever admit to you that she took your mother's money?
Yes.
When?
When we were arguing.
When?
Days after, weeks after, because I didn't hear from her until like 2.5 weeks after this happened.
And tell me about that conversation.
Well, after the money was stolen.
Where was it stolen from?
The armrest of my car.
In what?
In the envelope that I got it.
Why did you leave it in the armrest of your car?
Well, me and Lanika had went to the mall together. And when I went to pick up my mother's money, I had my money also, which was $557. And I had asked Lanika to put my mother's envelope in her clutch purse because I didn't have a wallet or anything on me. We went shopping and we got back in the car. I asked her to put the money back in the armrest. I seen her put the money in the armrest. When we left the mall, we had went to a carryout that does MoneyGram. And I left her and my son in the car. I was in there for about 10 minutes doing the MoneyGram. She came.
A MoneyGram to whom?
My friend. Sending him money, $50. And I left her and my son in the car. While I was in there MoneyGram, and she came to the door of the store, yelling across the store, asking me did I need my ID. I told her no. I went back in the car. After that, we went to my car place, paid my car note. We went to my grandmother's house because I had to run at my grandmother's house looking for my prescription papers to fill out Rite Aid. I did that. It only took me about 20 seconds. I got back in the car, we went to Rite Aid. I took Lanika home, and that was that. When I got back home from that, that's when I realized the money was gone.
Now, when you realized that the money was gone, and it had been the armrest, which is sort of a silly place to keep money.
Yes.
How old is your son?
1.
And I assume he was in a car seat.
Yes.
Did you call Miss Carter?
Yes, several times. She did not pick up.
When did you finally speak to her?
Well, after I got home and I realized the money was gone, I went straight back to her house. When I got to her house, her dad opened the door. He let me come in. I told him that my mother's money was missing. Lanika was the last person with me. Is she home? He said no. I asked him, could he call her for me? He called her. Well, he said he called her. She didn't pick up. So he was like, well, yeah, she went to go.
You can't tell me what he said. How much after the 21st did you speak to her for the first time?
I spoke to her later on that day.
And?
And I told her that my mother was going to press charges on her. I told her. And she came back to my grandmother's house. And she came in, she seen that I was distraught crying. She seen that, the living room and everything was a mess. I was looking all through my son's diaper bag, my clothes bag that I went shopping in. She seen all of that. She came in the house and showing me her purse, her wallet, like, look, this all the money that I got, blah, blah.
So she came in, she said, I didn't take your money.
Yes. Then after that, she gave me $50.
She gave you $50 for?
Saying that she felt bad that this was on my son's birthday. This happened on my son's birthday. Saying that she felt bad and that I didn't have any money, didn't have any money for his party, didn't have any money for Christmas or anything like that, so she gave me $50.
Just a minute. You didn't have any money for your son's birthday. What were you sending a friend $50 for?
Well, I didn't have any money after that because...
I'm just asking you a question. If you didn't have money for your son's birthday, what were you sending your boyfriend money for?
I had money at that time that I sent him that money. And that was money that I owed him.
That you owed him?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, where did you send that money?
Louisiana.
So he's in Louisiana. Where do you live?
Ohio.
What's he doing in Louisiana?
He stays there, Your Honor.
He lives there?
Yes, he does.
Willingly?
Yes, he does.
Well, now tell me about the conversation you allege you had with the defendant when she admitted to you that she took the money? Because so far she hasn't admitted anything.
Well, after she gave me the $50, it was about 2.5 weeks until I heard from her. I worked third shift, and I couldn't respond. Then she texted me again while I was on break and asked me, when are you going to give me the $50 that I loaned you?
Okay.
I told her, from my understanding, you know, I didn't know that this was a loan, and you'll get your $50 back when my mother gets her $700 back. So we were arguing and arguing and arguing, and days went on, and I finally told her, like, look, you're harassing me. I'm tired of you harassing me. I will give you your $50 back. The plan was for her to come pick up the money from my grandmother's house before I went to work. I left the house at 5 o'clock, so I told her that I would leave the money in the envelope in the mailbox. She did not have to call me. She did not have to text me.
All I want to know is, when did she admit to you that
While
she
we
took
were
the
arguing,
money?
ma'am.
Well, tell me when that happened, the date and the circumstances.
I don't remember the date, but that's just what she said. And if I took your mother's money and...
She said what?
If I took your mother's money and I don't owe you anything, you owe me my $50. I didn't have to give you $50. And
well, that's not a confession. Go ahead now. I'm going to hear from you.
Okay, so December 21st, I do believe, we was texting throughout the day. She said, she texted me, said she was going to the mall.
Listen, she got her mother's money. Her mother's money was where?
I put it back in her hand when I got out the car.
In her hand?
Mm-hmm.
No, ma'am.
In an envelope?
Yep.
No, ma'am.
And that's the last you saw it?
Mm-hmm. And she went home, and she called me hours later, and I got a text message, and she said that I lost my mama money, I can't find it, call me now.
You have that text message?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Please show all the text messages. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Anthony and her daughter, Lovey Sanders, claim Lovey's former friend, Lanika Carter, stole $700 from them. Lanika denies the charge.
Miss Anthony, you said you were going to pay your mother back.
Yes.
She never admits that she took any money.
I said I was going to pay my mother back because that was the right thing to do. This money was stolen in my possession. She was with me.
Great. Well, you have no proof that she took the money.
Well, the $50 that she gave me, I feel was out of guilt because...
I don't care what you feel. What you feel is not proof. When you accuse somebody of being a thief, you have to have proof.
Okay, but when she went back in my armrest, when asked me did I need my ID was in my armrest. How did she know that my ID was even in my armrest? I have been getting money from my mother. I have never stole anything, a dime.
And neither has Miss Carter
ever stolen anything. And I've been paying her car notes and stuff for her, too, handling her money. And I never stole a dollar from her. She's been giving me her money to go pay her car note for me because she be late paying her car note, so she don't want to go in there, so I take her money and I pay her car note. If I want to steal, I could have been took money from her.
Whatever. There's no proof that Miss Carter stole your money. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
What goes around comes around. That's why I'm going to look at it.
She fake. Don't accuse me of nothing that I didn't do.
She must have not been a friend.
She want to blame me because she know her mama go do something to her about it.
Yeah, now from now on to go get my own money.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Goodrich versus Tippy, step forward.
Summer Goodrich is suing her ex-boyfriend, Michael Tippy, for unpaid rent and for totaling her car.
Miss Goodrich, the defendant is your former live-in boyfriend. You claim he owes you first for a car that he wrecked, which he acknowledges that he wrecked. Correct, sir?
I did.
And second, for some rent.
Correct.
When did you wreck the car?
I think it was February of this year.
And you were in the car alone?
I was.
Was the accident deemed to be your fault?
The accident was the gentleman's in front of me. He stopped short at a red light, and I drove into the back of him.
Well, that would be your problem.
That would be his problem for stopping short at a red light.
Now, usually, sir, Mr. Tippy, the person in the rear who hits you is deemed at fault in an accident, and I'm going to tell you why. Because usually the authorities and courts view you as being in a position to have sufficient room in front of you to stop, even if the car in front of you stops short. And if you're going so fast and traveling so close that you totaled her car, I would be actually surprised if they found it to be the fault of the person in front of you. Do you have the report on that accident?
He abandoned the car at the accident scene, so there was no report.
Well, didn't they contact you?
When it happened, he did call me at work and say that he had wrecked the car, seemed kind of panicked. By the time I got off work and could be at the accident site, it had already been towed because it was on a very busy area.
So what did you do?
We went to the impound and took a look at the car, and the axle was broke and the whole front end of the car was broke, so we took it as a loss.
When you say you took it as a loss, what does that mean? What kind of car was it?
It was a 95 Honda Civic EX.
Okay. Now, when Mr. Tippy left your home, he says that he left you with his truck. Is that true?
He left a truck at my house, yes.
What kind of a truck was it, Mr. Tippy?
2000 Ford Explorer Eddie Bauer edition, ma'am.
Was it paid off?
It was not.
Well, what is she supposed to do with your car that wasn't paid off?
I left the vehicle there, and
For what?
The agreement that the truck payments were being made, when the truck was paid off, it would be signed over to her.
Is that the agreement that you had with him? Yeah.
I am making payments on the truck so that it is not repoed.
Are you driving the truck?
I drive it for occasional things. I walk to work.
No. Baloney, Ms. Goodrich. When did you buy this truck, Mr. Tippy?
It would have been 4 months ago.
Did you trade in another vehicle for it?
I did not.
Did you put a down payment on it?
I did.
How much?
$500.
My mother put that money down.
In whose name is the truck?
My name.
And what about the loan?
My name.
Solely?
Solely.
Great.
Terrific. It comes out of my account.
I don't care what it comes out. I'll give him back the truck.
Okay.
Now, would you take a look, Bert, and see what the blue book is on a 1995 Honda Civic?
$1,650.
Okay, great. Now, what do you want with regard to rent, Miss Goodrich?
July to November. I am having a new roommate come in December 1st, and he said he would pay until I got a roommate.
Is that what you said?
I did not.
Tell me the circumstances, Miss Goodrich, surrounding Mr. Tippy leaving the apartment.
I would say right after the car was wrecked, the relationship probably went downhill then. He was leaving more frequently to go out of town to
whatever.
do whatever. Finally, in July, he decided to pack a bag and leave. The house is a 3-bedroom. So even if we weren't together, he could have stayed in one of those other bedrooms.
Well, he could have. Who would want that? Now, you want to tell me your version, sir, of what caused you to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
After my daughter's passing, the 2 years after that, relationship steadily started getting worse. It was deteriorating, obviously. She is correct. I started leaving town more frequently. I was going to Marion to help my brother out, who just had hernia surgery. That's the reason I was leaving. But then I lost what I was thinking.
If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, sir. I asked you what caused you to leave in July.
In July, I was told to pack a bag. I should pack a bag and go to my sister's house. I packed a bag and left.
Who told you that?
Miss Goodrich.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding her saying to you, pack a bag and leave.
I had been hearing that for about 2 years. Every time we'd get in an argument, it was always pack a bag and go to your sister's. Why don't you pack a bag and get out? I can do this on my own. I don't need you here. And I told her, you can only tell somebody that so many times before they actually do it.
So she told you to pack a bag and leave?
Correct.
I believe you. When you tell him to leave, he doesn't have to pay rent. He's just accommodating you.
Why would I tell him to get out when my rent's $1,000 a month?
Because you were frustrated. Because you never thought he would do it. Because I believe him when he says, you know, you would tell him to pack a bag, pack a bag, pack a bag. He never packed a bag. This time you told him to pack a bag, he packed a bag.
He didn't even take all his stuff.
And ma'am, that's all I did. I packed a bag full of clothes and left.
And said that he would still pay until I found a roommate.
$1,650 is what he owes you for the car. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I figure like this, man. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. Today, I'm the bug.
I did not kick him out. He could have stayed in another bedroom.
I packed a bag full of clothes, got in the car with my nephew, and drove away.
He decided that he liked other women better.
I cannot be troubled by the fact that I keep getting phone calls about what I owe money to and what I don't.
Maybe stay single for a while.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shelton versus Maharaj. Step forward.
Monique Shelton is suing 18-year-old Rachel Maharaj for starting a fight during a dinner party in her home.
Mrs. Shelton, on what date were you having this party at your house?
It was on the 22nd on Thanksgiving night, and it wasn't a party. I was just cooking dinner.
Did you have people at the house?
I had my cousin there, and then he invited 2 of his friends.
And one of the friends that your cousin invited was this young lady here?
Yes.
Had you ever met her before?
No, I hadn't met her. I just seen her like around town, but I never was formally introduced to her.
Were you invited for dinner?
Yes.
Who invited you for dinner?
Her cousin Ian.
Is that person here? Stand up over here. What's your first name?
Ian.
You invited the defendant to be your guest for dinner?
Yes.
And this is your cousin?
Yes.
Did you call your cousin and ask if you could bring a guest?
No, I just invited them over. I didn't ask her if I could invite them.
Didn't you think that that was the right thing to do? You were bringing someone to her home.
I didn't think she would mind.
Okay, let's go to Etiquette 101. When you are invited to someone's home for dinner, if you wish to bring a guest, then the appropriate thing to do, the right thing to do, is to pick up the phone and say, what's your first name?
Monique.
Monique, I would love to bring a guest for dinner. Is that okay with you? You have enough food, you have enough chairs, whatever it is. It's just the right thing to do. We understand each other? That's for the future. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. You could still learn. Anyway, you brought her over, and you got into a brouhaha with somebody.
Yes.
Who did you get into a brouhaha with?
My friend Sonia.
Who brought Sonia?
We both came together.
Did you know Sonia?
I know that was his girlfriend. Yeah, I've met her before, yes.
That was his girlfriend?
Yes.
Was Sonia your girlfriend? Is that you?
Yeah.
Yes would be an answer. Oh, my God, this is going to be so hard. Could you sit down, please? Stand up. So now, he's your boyfriend. You're going to his cousin's for dinner. For some reason, he invites the defendant, and you all go there together. And this is Thanksgiving night.
Yes.
Well, then I read in the complaint that for some reason you think that your friend Sonia was messing around or took your cell phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, what made you think she took your cell phone?
Because I couldn't find it, and I looked in my purse to find it, and that was the only explanation I could think that would have happened to my phone.
So there are a whole lot of other people in the house, and you couldn't find it, so you assumed that Sonia, who was your friend, took it. So what did you do?
I asked her if she knew where it was, and she said no, and that's when...
You said to her, Sonia, do you know where my phone is? And she said no. Where were you both when this happened?
In the kitchen.
Where were you?
I was in the kitchen still finishing.
She was in the kitchen also. Did you go into the kitchen to find Sonia, or were you all standing in the kitchen?
I went into the kitchen.
So you went to look for her?
Yes.
And said, you know where my phone is? And she said?
She never asked me that.
That's not true, Your Honor.
What did she say to you?
There's no words to be exchanged.
No words?
No words.
Well, what happened when she came into the kitchen?
She came in and attacked me.
Explain how that happened.
She ran up on me, and we're in the kitchen, and I'm trying to tell her to stop. What are you doing? What's wrong with you? And, yeah, and then trying to stop her. We're fighting, so we're fighting, and then...
Just a second.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Your Honor, from what I remember, they were sitting at the table talking, and Sonia started talking about how she felt about my cousin Ann. That's when Rachel charged at Sonia, and she crashed her into the china cabinet, and they start going at it. My cousin came out of his room, grabbed Sonia, and I grabbed Rachel to break them apart. And Rachel basically threw her head back on me, just threw herself back, and I ended up falling back. She fell back on me, and her head smashed into my mouth. She didn't stop to see if I was okay. She just got right back up, and she continued to try to fight Sonia.
What was said about Ian?
Sonia said that she loved Ian, and that Ian was her baby.
Sonia said she loved Ian?
Yes.
Did you love Ian?
No, Your Honor.
Well, why would that make you angry?
That did not make me angry. That's not what I was angry about.
What were you angry about?
My phone.
Angry about your phone. When you get angry about your phone, what did you do?
I tried to find it, and I asked her if she had it.
And she said no. And then what did you do?
I attacked her.
You attacked her. How did you attack her?
I pushed her.
So you put your hands on her?
Yes.
And then you started fighting. And as a result of your assault on Sonia, she got hurt. Let us assume that I believe what you say to me, that this had nothing to do with Ian, which I'm not so sure about, because women usually don't fight over anything but a man, because that's how dumb they are. But let us assume that I believe you. I believe everything that you just told me, which is, you went inside, you said to her, where's my phone? She said, I don't know where it is. So you attacked her. And the plaintiff, whose home it is trying to break up the fight and is injured by you.
I was not attacking her, though. She got involved in the middle of it. And when she tried to break it up, we all fell down.
You started it. The person who put their hands on another person first was you. That's what you told me. I believe you.
She also emailed me.
Just a second. Okay. I believe her. I believe you. You put your hands on somebody else first over, according to you, a lost piece of property. By the way, did you ultimately find your phone?
No, I did not.
Is it possible that you lost it?
No, because I had it at Monique's house.
How do you remember that you had it at Monique's house?
Because I was using it there.
After you finished using it, what did you do with it?
I set it down on the table.
How many people were there?
It was myself, Monique, her husband, and Ian and Sonia.
So it was maybe 5 or 6 people who could have touched your phone.
Yes.
Instead of maybe you just losing it. But I don't see putting your hands on anybody else, because if you hadn't put your hands on her, she wouldn't have to try to separate you. She wouldn't have gotten hurt. Now, I'd like to see your bills, please.
Okay. Is right after the injury, but when I went to the emergency room, they had me push my tooth back up in my gums, and they put a splint on there to hold it up there, so it's just temporarily being held in place, but the tooth is still broken on the side, which I have something covering that.
Well, because you put your hands on somebody.
Also, after I left her house, I went to my witness's house, and they were walking me to the bus stop, and after that, Monique came up the street and attacked me again, which I have the video of. And I think if my teeth was knocked out, I wouldn't be trying to fight someone. I would have went straight to the emergency room.
I don't care what you think. I think you acted like a dumb brat. And a real I'm sorry, not it's somebody else's fault, would probably go a long way. When you put your hands on somebody, the first one who does it, and if it starts a domino effect, and if I can pin the tail on the donkey, that would be you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just grateful that she's seen and she was fair about the situation.
I don't recall causing any damage to her.
It was very shocking and traumatizing for me.
I didn't have any bumps on my head.
I guess it was a big deal. She wanted to prove to her friends that she could beat up Sonia.
She apologized after and said that she was sorry.
I never will have someone I don't know over my house again.
Don't fight anyone.
So, see.
How old are you, Mr. McMillan?
23, Your Honor.
And you?
21, Your Honor.
That's your mommy?
Yes, that's my mother.
Mommy and daddy?
Yes.
I think there should be a rule that children cannot leave home until they're 30. All right. Was this first experience of the two of you living together the first time you had been out of your home?
No, Your Honor.
When was the first time you had been out of your home?
Shortly after I turned 18. I had moved in with another girlfriend at the time.
Great. I'm going to make a point. So you left home when you were 18. You moved in with another girlfriend. Did that work out?
No.
And how long did you live with that girlfriend?
Near 2 years.
And then where did you go?
I moved in with several of my friends.
You rented a room?
Yeah, I rented a room.
And how long did that last?
I was on the lease with them for a year.
Then you turned 21?
Roundabout, yes.
Then where did you go?
Shortly thereafter, I had met Brittany, and we were seeing each other for a while. And
well, seeing each other, you need a place to live. So you moved out of your leased apartment. Where did you live?
We moved into an apartment together.
The apartment that's the subject of
Correct.
this case? So you left your leased apartment to move in with her?
After the lease had expired, yes.
And how long did you live with her?
With Brittany, one year.
And that didn't work out?
No.
See what I mean?
I'm beginning to.
Beginning to get there. Right? You sort of have to grow up and finish cooking before you try all this living together. It's not easy and usually very expensive. When you lived with another girl when you were 18 for 2 years, did it end and you got all your property back? There was never a problem?
No, there was no problem. She and I, it had come around and we were very equitable about it.
Never went home to live with your mom at any point?
No.
She looks like a very nice lady.
She is.
Okay. It's your claim that Miss Patrick owes you a lot of money because the poor took out loans, moving expenses, and all that stuff. Didn't work out. Miss Patrick was supposed to give you back the money, and she didn't. Miss Patrick says, I bought him a scooter. We're even. That's your defense, right?
To an extent.
Well, what's the other extent?
Throughout our relationship, I had received money from a car accident settlement shortly after we moved in together. And I had put that money towards a month of rent and stuff for the apartment, and that settlement was about $4,500. And then I received a settlement later to which we bought a scooter with. And during that time, Derek had lost his job from sometime in August until he was employed at his current job, I believe, at First Tech. So there was months in there where I was supporting him as well.
Did you have a joint bank account?
Only after I started my job at my current bank location, yes.
The answer is yes, you had a joint bank account.
For about 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
And why did you open up a joint bank account if you hadn't had one before?
Because things were looking good in our relationship at that time, and I was feeling very confident about our relationship, despite the few small signs that there could be trouble.
And why did you open up a joint bank account?
Because I was working as a nanny. I was self-employed, and it was easier to just give him the money because I'd been doing that previously, just giving him cash, and he would write checks with it.
How long had you been a nanny?
3 years.
Same family?
A few different ones, but...
How long with the last family?
2 years.
Paid by the week?
Bi-weekly.
How much do you earn?
$1,200 a month.
Okay, now, Mr. McMillan, I want you to tell me what you think she owes you.
When we were looking to get a place together, she didn't have the credit to co-sign on a loan with me, so I took out a loan with my grandfather, and she told me that she would pay me back half of the loan for the moving expenses to move into the apartment, in addition to a loan for purchasing things for our apartment, for direct buy, as well as things she took and stole from me that I had purchased out of my account after we had split.
Oh, well, the only thing I'm actually interested in, Mr. McMillan, is the things that you say she stole from you after you had separated. You two people want to live together and play house together and commingle your money, and she puts in her money and you put in your money. I have absolutely no intention of figuring out what that is, and that includes the loan from your grandfather. Now, what do you claim she stole from you after you separated?
2 IKEA dressers, IKEA coffee tables. And
2 IKEA dressers.
Mm-hmm.
When were they purchased?
They were purchased around the time that we moved in together. And I have bank statements to show the IKEA purchase.
Who cares? She may not have kept receipts about what she purchased. With her nanny money, with her settlement money, with her income. If you purchased the things while you were together, I'm not interested.
It was purchased out of my account.
I don't care.
Okay. There is a loan that she did co-sign on for the direct buy.
I'd like to see it.
It's the second page. The first page is showing the finance company that it is financed through. The second page is the actual direct buy contract that she signed.
Mm-hmm. Why did you sign this?
Because I believed that we would be buying a house together later and that would be something we should invest in.
Great, you have to pay for half.
I have a letter from him stating that he released me, and the direct buy people signed it as well, that he released me from the direct buy account.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, that was before I had found out that she was not going to pay me for half of the loan that she and I had a verbal agreement on.
If it doesn't say that here, it doesn't exist. I want to read this. Well, I don't know if Best Buy is going to release you. They say that they got his letter. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to release you. This was dated July 2012.
No, she's still on the finance contract.
Well, they may come after you, but it's between the two of you. You released her.
Again, that was before I knew she was not going to pay me for anything else that she had owed me.
Where's the scooter?
The scooter is at my house.
Good. What else do you want from her?
The loan is one of the other major components that my grandfather signed on that she and I had a verbal.
Not interested in your grandfather's loan. What else?
The things that were taken from me. I also purchased a cell phone for her, as well as...
Mr. McMillan, grow up. There are courts for people who are married and divorced, and nobody likes to sit in them as judges because they're always irritating. She has the tea service. I want the cell phone. She has the Buick. I want the Jeep. Whatever it is, courts have to sit and listen to that drivel. You two people choose to play house together. There are no courts for people who choose to play house together and commingle their funds. And not only commingle their funds, but buy things in anticipation that this is going to be a wonderful thing that's going to last forever, and it goes south, and then you come back and you say, well, now, when we bought the 2 dressers, I bought them on my account. Well, she says, I put my money that I got paid in cash from my nanny work, I used to give it to him.
I have no record of her putting any payments toward anything that we purchased.
I don't care. That's not what I'm saying to you. I'm saying you commingled your money for living.
When the dressers and everything was purchased and taken out, we didn't have the joint account. This was when everything was coming out of my account. I didn't say you had a joint account. I said she had money that she contributed to the household, whether it be by way of settlement or her job. You had money that you contributed to the household, and whether it was even or not, I don't know, and I don't care. She neglected to pay the first 4 months.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There were markers for me, looking back, that our relationship wasn't going to work out.
Selfish little boys have problems with letting go.
And there was one key point in our relationship that I just said, this isn't going to work, and so at that point I ended our relationship.
After finding out that he was a cross-dresser and...
The fact that I'm a cross-dresser is simply not true or even relevant.
All the blatant pictures of him with other women.
I was not with other women or anything like that.
I relinquished control. I didn't want to be with him anymore.
In regards to anything that she and I had not previously agreed to.
Have a seat.
Before we start, Miss Scott, I just have one question for you. Can you have your date of birth, please?
7/29/79.
Great. Mr. A relationship, and from what I gather from your papers, you moved into her home.
Yes, ma'am.
Month and year that you moved into her home.
March of 2010. No, May of 2010. Sorry, May of 2010.
And when you moved into her home, did you live there as a couple?
Yes.
It was her home?
Yes.
So you lived there with her, you shared a room with her?
Yes.
Was there anyone else who lived in the home?
I had 3 kids.
Where were you living immediately prior to May of 2010?
In Hammond, Indiana, in an apartment.
By yourself?
Yes.
Paying rent?
Yes.
How much?
$5.95.
Okay. When did you move out of Miss Scott's home?
October the 4th of 2012.
When did you cease to be a couple?
October the 3rd, the day before I moved out.
Okay. Now, where did you find a new place to live?
In Hammond.
Alone?
Yes.
When did you sign a lease for that place?
October the 4th.
When did you locate that place?
About 3 days before I actually moved in.
Mr. Mohammed, you and I are going to have a problem.
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Because if what you told me that you were still living with her as a couple on October the 3rd, sharing a room.
Yes, yes.
And a toothbrush.
Yes.
On October the 3rd, why would you look for an apartment before for yourself?
Well, because first of all, my mother was having surgery, and all the time during the relationship, Miss Scott was sneaking around the home, and so I kind of figured that something was actually going on with her. So what I did is that, one day I had got off of work, and I was eating dinner in the living room. Miss Scott came into the home through the back on the phone, talking to the inmate.
Would you tell me why you looked for an apartment on October 1st?
Because I wanted to move out.
You mean you wanted to move out, but you still slept with her on October 3rd? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. We still slept in the same home.
Not the same home, in the same bed.
Well, yes.
I'm just trying to figure you out, Mr. Mohammed. Now, this case is about several things.
Yes.
Let's deal with the easy things first. You claim that you purchased a bed for the house, and she didn't let you take the bed with you.
That's correct.
Can I see when you purchased the bed?
Yes, I have 2 copies. Great. I had to buy the same bed twice.
Well, you see, Miss Scott says that you bought her this bed as a birthday present. And that's why I asked her what her date of birth was when we started. And her date of birth is July 29th, 1979. And you know when you bought this bed? On July 25th.
The 24th. If you look at the credit card card statement is on the back.
So what? That's reasonable.
I bought the bed the 24th because I surfed the web and I found where they was having a deal on the bed.
Okay. Now, you lived in her house for a couple of years, correct?
Yes.
How did you split your finances, Mr. Mohammed? Let me put it to you easier.
Yes.
What did you pay for?
The mortgage.
How much every month?
It was $550 when I first got there. 2 months after I moved in, it went up to $667.
Did you pay the mortgage each month? You yourself?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And that's pretty much the same as you were paying in your rent before you moved into her house. You were paying $595 a month, according to you.
Yes.
So you were in no worse situation financially, correct?
In the beginning, yes.
Did you pay for anything else in the house, Mr. Mohammed?
Yes. I did repairs on the home. I bought, ins and outs for the home, for the yard and things like that. I also, took my time to paint and do, to try to fix up the home.
I don't care about those things. I'm asking you, what did you pay for? Did you pay for food?
No.
Did you pay for gas?
No.
Did you pay for electric?
No.
Pay for heat?
No.
Pay for trash? You paid $550 a month, and Miss Scott purchased everything else for the household, herself, the 3 children, and you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big bargain. So for $100 a week, you got food, gas, electric, phone, utilities, you had a backyard, and in exchange for you living there and making some repairs around the house and painting or doing whatever you were living as a couple, you lived reasonably, right? Forget about the bed. Would you give this back to him, please? All right. Now, Mr. Mohammed, let's talk about this loan that you allegedly made to her. When was it? Let's move it quickly.
August the 14th.
August 14th of what year?
2012.
Tell me about it.
The mortgage kept going up, and I, went to Miss Scott and I said, well, the mortgage is going to keep going up unless you try to refinance to lock in a lower rate so that you will know exactly what your payments are going to be. So in order for Miss Scott to refinance, there was an escrow shortage of $1,587. And she had to pay the $1,587 in order for the refinancing to go through.
So let me understand this. You wanted to keep your payments low because you were paying the mortgage, Mr. Mohammed. You wanted to keep your payments low, so you convinced her to refinance. In order for her to refinance, she had to come up with $1,500.
No, that's what the escrow was short. This is the bill. Here's the bill.
I understand what you're saying to me.
All right.
If she hadn't refinanced, you would have just continued to pay the mortgage.
Well, the mortgage would have continued to go up.
And you would have paid the mortgage.
No, I would not. No,
well, I don't know whether you would have or you wouldn't. Listen, it's over. Okay. It's over. The relationship's over. It's finished. You lived for 2 years at a bargain rate of $100 a week. Somebody took care of you, I assume. Did you do the laundry or did she?
We both did laundry.
We both did laundry.
See? Honest? Very good. Who did the cooking?
I did.
Miss Scott did some cooking, and I also did some cooking.
Who did the cooking?
I did a majority of the cooking.
Who did the cleaning?
Me.
I did the cleaning. I did the cleaning.
Is that right?
Me and the children did the cleaning. He was responsible for the yard work, because I don't do yard work.
Okay, so he did the yard work.
Yes,
that was your deal.
That was the deal.
That was the deal. Okay. And you paid for everything else?
And I paid for everything else.
Who do you work for?
I'm a supervisor in the office.
What do you do, Mr. Mohammed?
I drive trucks.
Mr. Mohammed, where are you living now?
In Hammond.
And how much do you pay in rent?
$700, including my garage.
$700. I assume you had a car when you were living with her, too.
I had 2.
You had 2 cars?
Yes.
She didn't charge you for the garage, did she?
No.
No. So now you're paying $700 a month. And with her, you were paying $550 and $667. But in addition to the $700 a month, how much are you spending, would you estimate, food for yourself a week? $100 a week?
Yeah, probably less than that, yeah.
Eat out occasionally, drive a truck, you're on the road a little bit, right? You also pay for utilities in this apartment?
No.
Everything is included in the $700 a month?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes, everything. And actually, it's $40 to rent the garage, and it's $660 for the rent, and everything is included.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I just
It still costs you $700 a month.
Yes.
Far less than what you were paying at her house, and that included your food and everything else. Mr. Mohammed, you got a bargain for 2 years. I would say, we're even, girlfriend. Now, Ms. Scott.
Yes.
You have a counterclaim.
Yes, I do.
Your counterclaim says that when he moved out, he purposely cut the wires to your boiler.
Yes, he did.
Did you do that, Mr. Mohammed?
No, I didn't.
How did they get cut?
I don't know. I don't even know if they were cut. She sent me a text and asked me, did I do anything to her boiler 2 days after I moved out? When I moved out, we both called the police department of the city.
Why?
Because when she called me that morning, she told me that I had to move out, and I had to move out with the assistance of the police. So when I got the truck and had the movers, I called the police outside her home. She called the police. 7 police came. They stayed the whole 2 hours until I moved. They were down in the basement while we were moving, and they were also upstairs with her.
What proof do you have that he cut the wires?
I don't have physical proof that what he was doing downstairs, only afterwards, and then I have text messages where he said that he would pay for the damage.
I'd like to see it.
And I also have text messages that says that she didn't want anything.
Just a second.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Antia Scott owes for an escrow payment and half the cost of a bed and a cell phone. Kshantia is countersuing for money taken from a bank account.
You said to her, I thought I was paying for the cut wires. What's all the other stuff? Is that what he wrote?
That's what he wrote.
That came with cutting the wires. I was turning on the system and trying to work. He had to flush the entire thing. But you know what, Nan? This is quite okay. I don't want you to pay for anything. Please don't contact me anymore. All that was because of your doing. You almost killed me and the kids. How did he do that?
The man who repaired the boiler, he said that if I would have kept clicking the dial, I would have blew the whole system up. He ripped the wires out of the bottom. I have the pictures.
Ooh, that's nasty,
cut the wires
Mr.
on the
Mohammed.
top. This is me and my children, Your Honor.
Seems to suggest that you said, I thought I was paying for the cut wires. That's all. What's all this other stuff?
No, that's not what.
Well, that's what it says here.
I asked her to send me a copy of the boiler to show me exactly what was wrong with the boiler, which is what you have. And I didn't see any wires that was cut out.
I have the receipt right here.
Just a second. Mr. Mohammed, if somebody accused me of cutting boiler wires, there would be no circumstance that I can think of that I would write, I thought I was paying for the cut wires. What's all the other stuff?
When she initially texted me, she said it was a wire. Did I do anything to the boiler? I said no. And then here's the text messages right here. And I said, what's wrong with the boiler? She said nothing.
Just a second.
No.
And behind that is a copy.
No, you cut the wires, sir.
No, I did not cut no wires.
Yes,
and
you
he
did.
deleted what
No,
I
did
You
not.
did something to the heater.
Said.
No, I didn't. What's up? Let me ask you one thing. I took only my stuff and didn't do anything else. The snowblower and the bike was over there, and the guys grabbed that stuff. So what's the question?
And that's
Did
the
he extra?
boiler.
Shh. Okay. I see the bill for the cut wires, please. It was $475 to repair the cut wires?
Yes, and plus
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $475. Your claim's dismissed, sir. Goodbye.
Your Honor, there were other things.
That's it.
Okay.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He sent vindictive letters to my job.
Miss Scott, she was actually cheating
Stole all the money out of my bank account. I mean, it's just ongoing.
with a former boyfriend that's in prison.
Every week it's something else, something else.
And, those are just a tough breaks.
It's a lot about control. He wants to have control of everything. I'm not to be controlled.
Mr. Paskey, Mr. Welch was your former boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you some money from a 2010 accident that he had with your car. In addition to that, he did some damage to the walls in your apartment that you're responsible for and broke some of your property. He wanted to compensate you for that. Mr. Welch said that you did, in fact, have an argument, but there was no assault. Mr. Welch says that he did, in fact, have an accident with your car in 2010, but he gave you $900 towards the repairs on the car, and he feels as if he's more than compensated you for that. So let's start with the car first. That accident was in 2010. Clearly, it was your fault because you paid for it. And the damage to your car, which according to you was just a bumper that was damaged on your car.
That is correct.
And he's given you $900. What else do you think he owes you for?
The total damage to the other party was a total of $1,800.
That would have been covered under your liability.
He didn't have insurance at the time, Your Honor.
The only insurance I had was through my bank with the loan I held. I didn't have insurance for the car at the time in the state. It wasn't necessary.
Of course, you have to have liability insurance on a car. You don't have to have collision, but you have to have liability, which means that if you hit somebody else and your car is damaged, they're not going to pay for your car, but they would pay for the other person's car. Did you let the insurance lapse?
No, ma'am.
Well, I don't understand that. Then why wouldn't it cover the other car?
On the police report here, they have the lien holder down with the insurance on here. It was not covered under the bank's insurance.
Let me take a look at this report that you have. Maybe I'm not understanding something. Am I correct, Officer Byrd? In most jurisdictions, you're required to have, if you drive a car, liability insurance in the event you cause an accident and another car is damaged or another person is damaged.
Right.
You don't have to have collision insurance, which means that if you damage your car, you're on your own.
You're on your own.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So you would have to have insurance.
Sure. It was under the bank again.
Not under the bank. It's your car.
Sure.
I mean, true. Of course it's true.
I do have receipts that the money I paid out of pocket for that money order receipts.
I don't care whether you paid out of pocket for it, sir. The question is, if you didn't have appropriate insurance, that's your problem. I don't see anything here about insurance.
On the front page there, Baraboo National.
You didn't have insurance. Next. What's next?
I'm also suing for the damage to my cell phone and the laptop and the hole in my wall, Your Honor.
Great. Cell phone. Tell me about it.
I was in an altercation with Welch. He asked for money to buy a prescription from the hospital. I did not give him money for that. He then went and kicked me in the head 3 times, Your Honor. Also damaged my cell phone.
Would you tell me about the cell phone?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
said tell me about the cell phone.
That's when he kicked the cell phone out of my hand, and it damaged the screen on my cell phone here.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor, he had threw that phone at me when I had left the house that morning. I have the original police statement from that morning.
I'd like to see it.
It talks about...
Just a second, I can read. So what you're telling me is he threw the cell phone at you?
Yeah.
That is correct, Your Honor. That is not correct, Your Honor.
I'm just going to read this. Why did you give this to me? Where does it say he threw the cell phone?
No, it's just a police report from that morning. And it
well,
says,
what'd you give it to me for? It says he spoke to the police that day.
Yeah.
Immediately after, he told the police that you would kick the cell phone out of his hand. The police observed the broken cell phone. He also complained
These
about
are
injuries.
the charges from that day, and they were all dismissed.
I don't care.
One of them was the criminal damage to property regarding the cell phone.
Because you came to civil court. Did you have a trial?
I was legally charged.
Did you have a
No,
trial?
I did not have a trial.
And you had a prior assault case?
Yes.
So what'd you let him back in the house for?
He said he was going to go to therapy, which he did, and I was with...
I got the answer. Oh, well, on May 22nd, you actually told him at that point that he had thrown the phone at you and denied that any physical altercation.
Yeah. It also says that the police officer had observed this side of his face that he alleged that I kicked him on and saw no injury.
That's correct.
There was no physical marks on my face, but it's 3 times.
Did you go to the doctor?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's go on to something else. We now have the car that you're not getting any money for because he gave you $900. I'm confused about the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
The only thing that I'm not confused about is when somebody has behaved in a violent manner towards you and they're out on bond on an assault case, you don't let them move back into the house. Okay, what's next? You want to tell me about the computer?
The computer was also damaged in the first incident there. You can see on the screen here, he broke it by punching it.
Well, you don't even mention the computer
No,
when
ma'am.
you spoke to the police.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because I didn't notice it at the time. He punched it.
That was 6 o'clock in the morning when this took place, and
Mr.
I never
Welch,
touched his
Mr. Welch,
laptop.
what kind of prescription medication do you take?
At that time, it
No,
was...
not at that time, today.
Nothing.
What about yesterday?
Nothing.
Really?
Really.
Really?
Really. I like to drink, but...
Mr. Welch, if what you're telling me is, because you're gathering from my silence, that I don't believe that you are in tight control of what's going on with your mind, and if it's not drugs, prescription or otherwise, and if what you're telling me is that it's alcohol, it's beginning to fry your brain.
Okay.
I hear it. Get yourself some help. You're 24 years old.
Okay. That's your opinion.
Sadly, my opinion's the only one that counts here.
Yeah, it is, but you don't know me, so you really can't judge me.
I'm not judging you.
Well, you're a judge, so you can judge me. But, you know, I do have a past of drug abuse, but I was on probation for 5 years, and I passed successfully, and I'm doing fine to date.
Well, it was in May of 2012 that you weren't doing so fine.
That prescription was a prescription for painkillers for broken fingers.
It's over. Done. Finished. I don't know whether he kicked the phone or you threw the phone. You don't mention that in your police report. You have no injuries as a result of any assault. Police officers saw no bruising on your body, sought no medical assistance. At best, it was an attempted assault, if in fact he did put his hands on you. Now, have you seen him since all this started?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
There was one time that I tried to stop by the house after the no contact had been dropped to gather my belongings. Since February of 2012, all of my belongings are at his residence that I can't even go near. And I've been trying to get my belongings. I've been working with the captain of the Juneau County Sheriff's Department trying to get my belongings, and he's been uncooperative with that.
Do you have any of his property in your house?
I have a bag of clothes, Your Honor.
Why don't you tell him where you want him to send the clothes?
He can drop them off at my mom's house or mail them to my mother's house.
Do you know where his mother lives?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you just drop them off?
There's also quite a bit of furniture that is there, and 75% of the belongings in that home are mine.
Can't help you, sir. I don't have a counterclaim. And perhaps one of the reasons that he's not forthcoming with doing that is because he feels annoyed over the rest of the stuff. You want to get into the damage to the apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go.
That happened back in May.
Same incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Same time?
Yes, ma'am. I have
Go
a couple
ahead.
photos, Your Honor, from the hole that he punched in my wall.
Is this a rental that you live in?
No, ma'am.
What is it?
It's a mobile home that I purchased.
We purchased it together, but I was on probation at the time and put it in his name, so.
When you say you purchased it together, what does that mean?
We paid $500 a week for 10 weeks for $5,000.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you both participated for the mobile home?
For the original purchase, yes, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There was a couple knives stabbed into the wall there when I got home from work. He told me that some ghosts threw them at the wall.
I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know what he's alleging with that.
Then a couple days later, he sobered up and told me that he put them there, but he didn't recollect why.
Well, yeah, I do like drinking. I still do today, so.
You know, he's been addicted to drugs for quite a long time now, and his family's not there to support him, and...
I try to make me look bad.
I tried to stand there by his side, but nothing came of it, so.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Quattrochi versus McNeely. Step forward.
John and Deborah Quattrochi are suing their daughter's ex-boyfriend, David McNeely, for an unpaid loan to have his teeth fixed.
Mr. McNeely, who is this?
This is my uncle.
Is he your closest relative?
Yes.
You have parents?
Yeah.
Well, they would be then your closest relative.
Okay.
Is he your father's brother or your mother's brother?
Mom's.
Why is he here with you today?
As a witness.
To what?
To a conversation that took place.
All right, so let's deal with this case as quickly as possible because I have actually other things to do today. This used to be your daughter's boyfriend. Correct. Fortunately for your daughter, they are no longer an item. David, who may or may not be a nice young man, I don't know, he needed some dental work. You loaned him the money to have his teeth fixed. He didn't go to his uncle. He didn't go to his mother. His father didn't give him the money. You gave him the money. So far,
Actually,
correct?
they offered the money.
So far, correct.
No.
Is there anything that I said that was wrong?
Yeah.
They gave you the money.
They offered. I didn't ask for it. That's why I wouldn't go to my parents or anybody else.
I didn't ask you whether you asked for it. I said they gave you the money to fix your teeth. You're not going to win this game. Mr. McNeely, you're not going to win this game, Mr. McNeely. I want you to strike out from your mind any thought that you might have that you are going to win this contest, that you have decided that you and I are going to have. I just asked you. They gave you the money to fix your teeth. You didn't go to your uncle, who's your closest relative, to your mother or to your father.
And I didn't go to them because they offered to loan me the money.
Perfect! Now we got it.
So why would I go elsewhere?
Just listen to me, sir. Why? Because most people, how old are you?
30.
Most people, if they run into a bind, would not go to biological strangers, but would go to, I'm speaking, put on your listening ears, would go to their family first if they ran into a problem. That being established through your own words that this was a loan to have your teeth done. You do, in fact, acknowledge that almost in your answer.
What I don't
Your
know
defense. I'm speaking. Don't interrupt me, sir. This is
Okay.
my playpen. If they're going to turn off a mic, it's going to be yours. Your defense to this action is that they were so anxious to get rid of you as a potential suitor for their daughter that they forgave the loan if you would break up with their daughter. That's your defense.
Correct.
And I assume, yes, and I assume that that's why you brought this gentleman with you, because he was there during that conversation.
Correct.
I assume that that's the reason. See how smart I am? I piece all these pieces together. Do you know why I'm so smart, sir? Because this has been my business for half a century. So if you thought that you were going to come in here and play with this business, it wasn't going to happen. Not going to happen. Not for somebody who didn't even have a first year of law school.
I watched your show, though.
Your name is?
David Bollinger.
Okay, go.
Okay, I was in the garage area, and I didn't see the lady having the conversation. I heard it. The garage was open, and I heard the conversation, and I asked my sister after it was over, I said, who was that?
Now, you can't tell me what your sister said. Now you can sit. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Sit. Your sister wanted to tell me what conversation she had. She would have been here.
Well, I heard it.
Now, listen to me. You didn't hear it because you didn't know who it was. You have to tell me what your sister said in order to establish the parties. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Well, you can't do that because that's hearsay. Now, were you present during the conversation?
No.
Good. Then how much do they owe you?
I don't know them anything.
$420.
Why is it if I owe them the money that they didn't hear? I didn't hear from almost a year until they found out.
I don't
we were
have to
dating.
answer your question, sir. You acknowledge that you have a loan. You have no defense for the loan. Goodbye.
And they found out we were talking and dating again. That's when they served me the papers.
After they broke up, he just decided he didn't know his money anymore.
Gave her for being with me every single day for 3 years.
If we broke up or not, he made the deal with my parents.
Oh, I'm not good enough.
No, it has nothing to do with my daughter and his relationship.
Yeah, they've made it clear.
She's her own woman. She's old enough to make her own decisions.
Stay away from people that have parents that don't want to let their kid go.
I probably will never see him again.
Vanessa Howard is suing her former friend, Ontrell Brooks, for a car loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge.
Hello.
Case 2108, Howard versus Brooks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Howard, your case is simple. You claim a loan to the defendant for the down payment on a car.
Yes.
When did you make this loan?
March 24th of this year.
How much was it?
I gave him $1,500 and he paid $300.
Where did you take the money from?
I had it at my home.
In cash?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a hairstylist. I'm an owner-operator.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the sole source of your income?
Yes. I own a salon business. I'm opening my second one.
Tell me how you know the defendant.
He was a client of a former stylist many years ago, so I met him through the salon.
Did you have any sort of relationship with him?
At the time that I met, no.
No. At the time that you gave him this loan?
We were friends.
What did he say he needed the loan for?
To get a vehicle.
To get a car?
And I knew he had a baby on the way, so I felt it was...
I want to know what he said to you.
He said that he needed help with the down payment. He was short some for a down payment on a car that he wanted.
Did you have that conversation on the phone or in person?
Yeah, he called me and asked me for originally $2,500 to help him with the down payment. And I told him, well, I don't know if I have that much. I'll see what I can get him. I had the $1,500. He came to pick it up at my home.
And that was on the 24th of March?
Yes.
When did you purchase your car?
I believe it was the 24th as well.
You have any paperwork for the car? What paperwork do you have there? I just want to see what you brought with you today.
Basically, the lien holder paper.
And what is that supposed to tell me?
I believe it has a date on there when I purchased it.
Okay. And how much did you put down on?
No.
Why did you need $2,500 from her?
I actually didn't ask for it. I just mentioned to her that I
No, well,
needed
just a second. I asked you a question.
Okay.
Why did you need extra money towards the down payment? Did it affect the payments? Did it affect the insurance? Did it affect the
yes.
premium?
Basically, the car, it was like $74,000. So if I was to put down a lower payment, like you were saying, the payment would be higher for the monthly. So if I put down a little more, it dropped it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she gave you $1,500, not $25.
Yes.
But she gave you $1,500.
Yes.
And she gave that to you around the same time that you purchased the car. Were you current in your insurance payments on the car?
Yes.
And then you crashed the car.
Yes.
And the insurance company paid the lien holder on the car.
Yes.
Made the payout.
Yes.
So you didn't get any money from the insurance.
No.
So now you
I have a car, yes.
Well, you got another car.
Yes.
What kind of car did you buy?
Tesla.
A Tesla. And how much did you pay for the Tesla?
I put down like $8,000.
Where'd you get the $8,000 from?
I have a place where I hold traveling nurses.
Did you take the money out of a bank, or did you have it in cash?
I had it in cash.
The $8,000.
Yeah.
How much money do you make from this business that you have?
It varies depending on how many nurses I have staying there.
So you own the property, or do you manage the property?
I manage the property. So it's basically housing nurses or people that travel for business.
And how long have you had that business?
I've been doing that for maybe a couple years now.
That's how you support yourself?
That, and I do training as well, fitness training.
Okay, Dean, right?
I gave her $300.
Right, and when did you give her the $300?
I'm not quite sure the date, but...
Give me a month.
I'm not quite sure.
When did he give you the $300?
May 17th.
Okay.
Tell me why you gave it back, the $300.
I gave it back to her because she basically...
Not basically, this is basically.
Well, because she kept asking for it. So just to get her off me for a second, so I gave her $300. Just I didn't feel like I owed it to her because I thought that, you know, it was given to me because we were like really cool.
Just a second. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Howard.
You can't be serious.
Miss Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been operating your two salons?
I'm opening a new one now, and the first one was opened in 2012.
Do you live with anyone?
My children.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
How old are they?
I have a 17, 18, and 21-year-old.
Big supports them.
I do.
From
their
your
father
work?
helps too, yes.
From your work. Do you live with their father?
No.
No. But he also helps.
Yes, he does.
And you sound like a really intelligent, put-together woman who's had her own business, who's got 3 kids, or college kids.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think, you know, I know that you work, because if you're a hairdresser and that's your source of income, you work really hard. It takes a long time to accumulate $1,500. You know, I'm sure you get some tips and stuff. That's the cash that you keep.
Yeah.
So you work hard, and you've got 3 kids who need money. He wants to buy an uber expensive car, and he wants his payments to be lower. So he says to you, not that he had a car, he wants it to make his payments lower.
That's not how he presented it to me.
How did he present it to you?
He said he needs help, he needs the money for the down payment, and he told me that, you know, the situation, his car got taken away or whatever. And
his car got what?
His previous vehicle was taken from him.
From how?
I don't know.
What kind of a car did you have? Before you bought the BMW?
That's what it was. It was a BMW.
Oh, and then you bought a Mercedes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you bought, sorry, I got that confused. You bought the Mercedes using some of her money. Before that, you had a BMW.
Yes.
Okay, and now you have a Tesla. Do you understand how foolish that sounds?
Yes.
You don't want to sound foolish.
Well, like I said, he's had a baby on the way any day now, and my compassion for the situation, I was like, okay, I'll give you that. And I know he's had a source of income. It's not like I've ever known him not to have an income. So I felt like, okay, he'll do right by me. Of course, he didn't. We see.
Do you know how many people stand in exactly that spot and say, you know?
Yes.
And what I'm telling you is, most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women. Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000, the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy. Then you change the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist.
Ontrell Brooks owes for a car loan.
Most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have guys standing there and say, you know, she asked me for this, and so I knew she had a baby on the way, and I felt sorry for it, so I gave them money.
Right.
Most of the time, they say goodbye, which is what you should have said. And
absolutely.
You appear to be much too fine a lady. and a hardworking lady. Don't give anybody,
no more,
any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000 and asks you for $1,000 or $2,000, knowing that you're a working gal and that he didn't need it to buy a car. He could have bought a car for $50,000. He could have bought a car for $30,000.
Right.
Likes to drive fancy cars with somebody else's money, okay?
Yes.
So the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy, usually as my great-grandmother would call them. Be smart in the future. You're a hardworking lady. Hold on to your money. If you want to invest in anything, invest in your children's future. We're done here. Judge, complaint.
Thanks.
Court is adjourned.
Mr. Brooks took my money with no intentions of paying back.
I thought it was, she gave it to me.
Oh, car crashed, my tires got slashed.
I thought it was a gift because she really liked me.
Don't let men borrow money.
Lovely woman, hardworking woman. She's going to have a chain, as Dolly Parton would say, have a chain. Going to have a second salon. On the other side, you have somebody with zero judgment.
He's well versed in other people's money.
Why? A perfectly sensible, bright woman would take money that she worked really hard for and give it to somebody that she hardly knows.
Women have to be smarter.
The women have to be smarter. Worry about
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend?
Maybe both, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least, probably closer to 15, yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had. And she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do have.
The answer is no.
No, but I do have.
So I would like you to tell me, Ms. Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon?
Previous to that, no.
Previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, but I'm asking, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo. And we were trying to leave, and my car was not working.
And what did he say to you?
That he will come and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd?
That was on March 2nd, yes.
And did he come to the motel with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were? And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd. Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd.
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not,
yes. Correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again? And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay. And tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
okay, so you called him and said the car died again?
Yep. But he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars. So I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know who else is knowledgeable? Mechanics. You want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
He showed up. I had talked to him before when he thought that David and I was not together anymore. He said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you.
Derek Mormon says his former friend Sherry Strauss owes for car repairs. Sherry is countersuing, claiming Derek damaged her car, trying to fix it.
Okay, so on the 7th, you called him again and said, I'm having trouble. What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator, got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about.
I paid for them.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that? It's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments,
No.
which mechanics usually don't. So
No.
how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments?
He paid for that because he knew I was...
No, not he knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments.
Yeah, I was
Just a
gonna make
second.
payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments.
Mhm.
You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
9.
That was after you picked up the car.
Mm-hmm.
Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor, I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent, a withdrawal from a bank, or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor, I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Ms. Strauss? Okay. Mr. Mormon?
Yes, Your Honor.
There subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised...
I have a different one that shows
May I
the receipt right there.
May I- Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card.
Mhm.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Mormon's. When you stayed at Mr. Mormon's, was that more of a social? I mean, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We're kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right, and then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new,
Mhm.
and now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to... No, it wasn't. No. It wasn't. Even you say, Ms. Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number. And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture,
That's this gentleman.
Yes, ma'am. He was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
My witness here, Ms. Montoya.
No, just a second.
Okay.
Text messages what?
Just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is fine.
Okay, that's all right. That's not harassment.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, that you're not
Where's my
suing him,
money?
so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. You would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my two witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
What did he want?
he wanted his money, but at one point in time-
Now he's got it. I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
Now he's got his money.
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you. He's got to be with me and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs, $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time. So I told him we would be, that I wanted to be his friend.
I ain't going to help, I can tell you that.
I want to continue the friendship, and he didn't want that.
No, never again on her, no.
Time to find another mechanic.
So I really didn't have so much trouble with that case because the defendant had really planned on paying for her car repairs. Do I think that the guy said to her, you can make payments, and when she got there, he said, no, who knows? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
He felt used.
Which I think is valid.
Which, give somebody money, and then you've had sort of a friends with benefits relationship, and all of a sudden.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô bé mặc một chiếc váy ngắn rất là đẹp và buộc tóc đuôi nhựa nhé. Chúng ta cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Nhưng mà mình rất học giỏi mà biết đâu mai sau mà đi làm công nhân em là tổng giám đốc, lúc đấy em cười vào mặt chúng nó.
Đâu thì hôm đi sinh nhật chúng nó khoe nữa không? Hôm đi sinh nhật chị Kiều chúng nó khoe nữa không?
Đi đâu mà khoe. Còn nó còn rủ em đi đảo dừa mà thôi em đến đảo dừa ấy. Lúc đấy đi đảo dừa em đến đảo dừa, em đi xem các đảo dừa ấy. Đi ra đấy xong rồi là rồi là mưa và bão. Rồi là đi về mưa mấy chú xe chị Kiều xong.
Vừa đến xong về.
À không. Lúc đấy là chủ nhật chị xe chị Kiều thứ 2.
Không sao.
Con trai như không nói là gì nhà con biết sợ là gì chết. Lúc đấy mà đỗ là gì mẹ em đỗ phải chu mà mẹ em cười hẳn vào mặt nó. Chú ăn cơ sở một đấy. Cơ sở 2 rất nổi.